For tax reform, Malcolm Turnbull walking away from what he originally said was going to be a bold approach post Tony Abbott to tax reform. So now it seems there's definitely no change to the GST, almost no prospect under Malcolm Turnbull of a change to negative gearing, some tinkering around the edges for superannuation perhaps, in which case there is no genuine tax reform. The business community up in arms. Tim Smith, this is Malcolm Turnbull disappointing those who helped install him as Prime Minister.
I wouldn't quite put it like that, but I think it's pretty rich for the business community to jump up and down. They've not made the case for tax reform. We had this discussion the last time I was here, after both Kroger and Paul Keating and then indeed Peter Costello had a go at Jennifer Westacott for her lack of leadership on these issues. And I think the Business Council and other business entities and employer organisations have to take their fair share of responsibility for this, because they simply haven't made the case. And third party
community's fault that Malcolm Turnbull.
No. I'm getting that. Third party endorsements are really important.
Remember, Donald Trump talks straight.
I'm talking straight, John. I'm talking straight. Just let me get to my point. Third party endorsements are really, really important with this sort of stuff. But to me, this is a fig leaf, this issue with tax reform at the federal level. They've got a spending problem. It's a spending problem. It's not necessarily a tax problem, it's a spending problem.
Extra $30 billion has just been promised over the next decade in the defence white paper.
In the 6 years of the Labor government, there was $191 billion of combined budget deficits. And we've now got a debt to GDP ratio of 18%. That's not going to fix itself.
So that's Joe Hockey's fault, is it? If there's a spending problem, because you've had a few years to address it.
I'd say probably Wayne Swan's fault.
Oh, okay. So, but again, remember, Donald Trump gets support because he talks straight. But Joe Hockey was the treasurer for the last how many years?
And I think that the 2014 budget, despite the fact it wasn't sold particularly well, was frankly a very sensible piece of public policy.
And you've got declining commodity prices too, and that issue's not being addressed. Look, this is a very worrying development, really, for all of us. We've got a Prime Minister that came in on the back of promising that there would be some big, bold initiatives around tax reform. He's promised tax cuts and promised to deliver those. It's perplexing that he would have allowed a debate on the GST to continue for a good 4 or 5 months, only to take it off the table and have nothing to replace it with. He's starting to look very much like the emperor with no clothes. I had high hopes of Malcolm Turnbull as Prime Minister and being a centrist and being able to find that middle ground for a lot of us on a lot of issues, not just on the economy but on social issues. But it seems to me that he's squibbing all of the hard decisions and he's leaving all of his ministers flat-footed, and it's really starting to show.
And